I love teaching people how to do this, not fall into the pitfalls, not fall into the BS, keeping people from falling into the pitfalls, and also the predatory, preconceived things that there's a lot of consultants out there that do.
Howdy, Vine Trippers. I wanted to take just a moment before the show begins to tell you a little bit about the Texas Wine Lover website and app. It is a definite must-have for anyone wanting to explore the Texas wine industry. Now, they have a website. It's txwinelover.com, but they also have an app that you can actually download to your phone. You can find it on the Apple App Store or on the Google Play Store for Android devices. And it's going to be kind of your one-stop shop for when you go out to visit these great places. So you get to listen to them here on the podcast or watch them on YouTube to learn about these wineries. But when you go to visit, make sure you're checking out that app, because I'm sure you're probably going to want to visit other places in the area as well. And you can do incredible searches. It's the most comprehensive listing of winery information in Texas. And you can look for wineries in your area to go visit multiple places. You can sort those listings by finding out ones that are kid-friendly, maybe some that are pet-friendly. If you want to look for events or things that are going on, if you want to find those that can host RVs, just about any category you can think of, you can actually sort those listings and find wineries around you to go visit. The app is free to use for you and I. So it's a perfect, again, hand-in-hand tool when you're going out to visit wineries. Listen to them on this podcast, watch them on YouTube, and then start making your plans to go visit and use the Texas Wine Lover app when you go. Now, it can also be a great tool. Maybe you're not even looking for a winery. You just happen to be traveling to some place in Texas, and you just might think, I've got a little extra time. I wonder if there are any wineries in the area. You can actually look them up in the Texas Wine Lover app. You can search either by the name of a winery, or it's got a map view. So you can actually pull up a map of the area around you and see locations of wineries near you and go visit them and support the Texas wine industry. So you got to use the Texas Wine Lover app. It goes perfectly with this podcast. So make sure you check it out before you go on your next trip among the vines. Again, it's www.txwinelover.com, or look up the Texas Wine Lover app on your favorite phone app store and make sure you get that downloaded and use it frequently. You will benefit from it, and ask for Texas wines. Let's see the Texas wine industry prosper and go visit some of these fun places that I'm bringing to you on the show. Texas Under Vine, an exploratory podcast to scout out the best that Texas wine country has to offer. I'm your wine guide, Scott, and I'm here to lead you on an auditory expedition to the vineyards and wineries across the great Lone Star State. Each episode will cover a different vineyard, winery, or wine-related business operating in Texas. You'll hear interviews, descriptions, and details about each location that will excite you to visit and experience them for yourself. Ready to plan a wine tour? Use these episodes to choose the most interesting spots for you and your friends to check out. Most of all, enjoy hearing about the rapidly growing wine industry in the state and what makes our wines and wineries the best. Howdy, fellow Vine Tripper. Welcome to episode 77 for the Texas Under Vine podcast. In this episode, I ventured to what some people consider the epicenter of the Texas wine industry, Kerrville, Texas, to visit Kerrville Hills Winery. Now, this winery is situated on the campus of Schreiner University, and they're more than just pouring great glasses of wine at this location. They're actually shaping the future of Texas viticulture here. And I picked up a special library bottle at this visit that I'll reveal at the end. Now, the owner of Kerrville Hills Winery is John Rivenburgh, And he got his start in the Texas wine industry and the wine industry as a whole when he joined as a family operation the Bending Branch Winery location in Comfort, Texas, where he was the winemaker for many years. And in 2015, he left Bending Branch to branch out on his own. Now, this location, Kerrville Hills Winery, was actually started by Wayne and Carol Milberger, and they opened their doors back in 2011. After a period of time, they decided to retire from the wine industry and trusted John with the operations and handed over the keys to him around 2019. And right about that time, COVID hit and everything got shut down. So during that time, John had been doing a lot of wine consulting with a lot of other winemakers, and he found out about a wine incubator model in Washington State, in Walla Walla. And he became very fascinated by this model where you have one central location with multiple winemakers coming in to learn from kind of one wine guru with shared tank space, shared crush pad, even a shared storefront. So they're all kind of working together, learning from each other, learning from their mentor, and then putting it all together before they took off out on their own and started their own wine business. And so John decided, why don't I combine the consulting that I've been doing and the winemaking here at Kerrville Hills Winery to create a wine incubator for the Texas wine industry. And so that's what he did here at Kerrville Hills. And they have shaped many Texas winemakers for some of these great wine destinations I featured here on the podcast and that you've gone to visit. John has had a big influence on a lot of them, whether that's through consulting or people that have come through that wine incubator program there at Kerrville Hills. And a couple of years ago, they actually moved the tasting room onto the campus of Schreiner University, where it's actually located in an old homestead that was built in 1904 called the Weston House. And everything inside of this Weston House is actually original, including the flooring, the windows, the walls. Everything is still original to that 1904 homestead, except for the furniture. The only thing they brought in secondarily. And as part of this partnership with Schreiner University, John has been working with them to create a viticulture certificate program called Vino de las Colinas. And aspiring winemakers can go there to learn all about viticulture and get a certificate through that. They even planted a small little vineyard for the program as well. And John is actually starting a series of instructional workshops to help winemakers and vineyard owners to learn some of the practical guides to managing a vineyard and winemaking issues and things like that. In addition, John also has just now been completing his term of service as the president of the Texas Wine Growers Association. So he has been advocating for the power of 100% Texas wine in our Texas wine industry very strongly for the last 2 years of his many years committed here to the Texas wine industry. And when it comes to their fruit, they source from many different vineyards throughout the state. They do have a kind of a state vineyard at Rustic Spur Vineyards, but John also had a vineyard that they had worked on in Hunt, Texas, that if you remember last summer, we had some very tragic floods that came through the hill country area, and that vineyard in Hunt was completely destroyed. Millions of dollars destroyed in those floods. Very heartbreaking situation for John and for Kerrville Hills Winery, but he has been sourcing fruit from other vineyards again throughout the state through many of his connections there. And their tasting room there in Kerrville is actually just that, a tasting room. All of the production and everything that they do is actually at another location in Kerrville, which is actually the home to Rivenburgh wines. If you go back to my past episodes of episode 52, where I interviewed John about Rivenburgh wines, that is where they do all of their production. This location for Kerrville Hills, again, is just the tasting room where they focus on the great wines and great hospitality. And one other fun addition, it's right across the street from the softball and baseball fields for Schreiner University. So on a great spring day, if you are a sports fan, nothing is better than sitting out in the lawn. You can hear all of the play-by-play from those games as they're going on across the street. And so you can enjoy your wine, listen to the games, and really enjoy, as John says, a great slice of Americana. But without further ado, let's go to the interview and hear directly from John to talk about his journey in the wine industry, as well as this incredible community they've built there in Kerrville.
Howdy, Vine Trippers. I'm here at Kerrville Hills Winery in beautiful Kerrville, Texas. And I'm here with John Rivenburgh to talk a little bit about this location, some of the history of this location, some of the incredible things they're doing and partnerships that they have here, and most importantly, the great wine you can taste when you get to come visit. So without further ado, let's talk to John. So John, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me, for those that haven't seen you in one of my other previous episodes, tell me a little bit about yourself. What's your wine journey?
Oh, goodness gracious. My wine journey is not nearly as cool as other people's, right? I wasn't an intern in France and fell in love and decided to change my whole course of my life. My wine journey is pretty utilitarian, to be honest with you. I grew up in a hill country family that did a lot of, everybody cooked, the men and the women cooked. We did a lot of, there was a lot of canning, a lot of jarring. Part of my family had some European roots on my dad's side, so there was not a lot of wine, but there was wine, more than the other kids I grew up with, right? Access to wine and that kind of thing. And so I always kind of had I just had a love and understanding of like the cultural aspects around wine, right? And then later on in life, I had the opportunity to start Bending Branch Winery with Bob Young and go into kind of the more, the nerdy side of myself and start to develop a lot of the things that he and I both are still doing today. And yeah, it really was utilitarian. Like Bob and I were family at the time, and he wanted to start a winery, and he asked if I'd like to be part of it, and that's it. And I went, well, you know what the heck?
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Let's give it a shot. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah,
Excellent.
so that's really how it all kind of got started. Now,
Okay.
knocking on the door 20 years ago is that timeline, but.
Well, how did you progress from then being there at Bending Branch and learning the winemaking and all the stuff you did there to now here at Kerrville Hills?
Honestly, like we had, which I'm a firm believer in, people should do this when they get into the wine business. We hired a consultant. That consultant, Greg Stokes, became a friend and a mentor to me, and really built the foundation of my winemaking ethos, right?
Yeah.
We were very similar in our thought processes, so it was very easy for me to kind of like roll into the way that he already was making wine, and I feel like I took that, and then I, like you always want with mentorees, you kind of go and take it a little bit further, right?
Yeah.
And so, I made wines there at Bending Branch as a winemaker through 2015.
Okay.
In 2015, I decided to go out and go a different direction, and I was really wanting to focus on the aspects of 100% Texas. I was really getting into terroir. I was really, a lot of people. I'm a farmer. I'm a grape grower first, right? So winemaking is what I can personally consider a secondary part to the magical art of growing grapes, right? It's not to use a wine, but it's accoutrement, right? To being a grape grower.
Because without good grapes, you don't have good wine. So it starts.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some misnomers around like what is good grape. So that's a whole nother thing we can get into. I think people's like early misunderstandings around like the way the wine industry builds like your mindset, right? Like, so the new guy, well, the book says, or this says, and it's like, thank goodness I had a mentor that was like, that's just not how it works. Yeah. That's not how it works. So anyway, fast forward, I was trying to decide exactly what direction I wanted to go. I didn't know if I wanted to start another winery. I didn't know if I wanted to just go take a winemaking job somewhere. Honestly, wasn't sure I was going to stay in the wine business.
Okay.
And my phone just kept ringing, and it kept ringing, and it kept ringing, and it kept ringing. And, folks were like, hey, we want to start a winery. Dr. Smith from Ab Asterisk was probably the first person to call me.
Okay.
So, 2015, I signed up to help start Dr. Smith and Aaron Smith and the Nelsons, Mike and Kristen. And then I became the mentor and Mike became the mentoree, right? So it's kind of an interesting full circle kind of thing for me to all of a sudden be the mentor. So they were first, and then there was a whole slew of people behind them. 1851, which is now Invention after some changes, Texas Heritage. There's a lot of folks in those days that we started kind of consulting, and the consulting side was interesting to me because I love mentorship. I love teaching people what we do. Like I really like, out of all the things I do, that is what I get. I love teaching people how to do this, not fall into the pitfalls, not fall into the BS. And I'm going to apologize in advance if I know you can edit this, but I have a tendency to talk like a sailor. So, okay, I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm glad it's Saturday morning, not Sunday. But keeping people from falling into the pitfalls, and also the predatory, preconceived things that there's a lot of consultants out there that do. And it always bothered me, right? It always bothered me that a consultant would be like, you really need to do this. And by the way, we sell that too through conveniently. And I would go like, I would look at like my colleagues, I would look at, back when we had Benny Brand, I'd look at, Bob, and I'd be like, and he would go like, yeah, no, I see it too, but Greg was never that, right? Greg was just a really great. He was a really great. He's also a really great teacher, right? So anyway, I realized that I love the aspect of teaching wine. I love the aspect, and at that point in time, I said, this is like I will from here on forth, I'm only going to dedicate myself to 100% Texas wine. Okay. Because I had friends, I had colleagues on the West Coast that would taste and see our fruit, come and visit, and they were all like, "Man, you guys grow really good fruit," And then it was kind of I'll never forget this. 2016, I had some buddies in here from California, about 4 weeks before harvest, and they wanted to visit some vineyards, and we went and rode around and visited some vineyards, and they were like, we pulled samples, we ran chemistries, you run around with the Enofos in the pickup and you run chemistries in real time. And they were like, man, you got like this whole idea that you guys don't grow good fruit. It seems so odd to us. They're like, we keep hearing this on the West Coast that you guys don't grow good fruit, but we've been in 7 vineyards and it's all excellent quality fruit. And that was an aha moment for me that connected dots around the early days of a lot of the consultants in our state and their need for degrading what we did. And they created this ethos path, this mental pathway that became wives' tales and became folklore, which then became fact, right? Fact. And it was for me to be validated by people who'd been growing grapes longer than I had been alive at that point, to go, man, you guys grow really nice fruit. Man, why do people say you don't grow nice fruit? And we were sitting around having beers after in the evening, and we were kind of like, oh, because the guys that built this narrative around the fact that we don't grow good fruit, either one, are bringing in fruit from elsewhere, or they're selling fruit from elsewhere. And so why would they continue to tell us we're doing a good job? And so it was like this, it literally was this aha, connect the dots.
Angels sang.
The angels sang, everything was woven together. And I was like, those son of a bitch. Like,
They were creating a market for themselves. That's what they were doing.
They were creating a market for themselves. And it hasn't stopped, but it's gotten better, but through a lot of hard work from folks that, care about Texas wine and those and those you don't know. But so, fast forward to get to Kerrville Hills, the consulting thing was going. Carol and Wayne Milberger have been magical people in my life. Wayne kept calling me, hey, I want to talk to you. And I was like, I was busy trying to conquer the world, right? And chase things down. And one day Carol called and she said, hey, I'd love for us to go to lunch. And oh, okay, Carol. And Carol and I had been on a board together at Hill Country Wineries, at THCW. And, God bless the acronyms in this state around all of our organizations. But, and so long story short, Carol basically was like, I'm ready to retire. I want Wayne to retire. And we want to make this possible for you to have Kerrville Hills. And they made the opportunity for me to have Kerrville Hills approachable and easy. Yeah. And Wayne, Wade in his guidance was like, there's not anybody else that I think is a good enough winemaker to take to take this on.
Yeah.
There's not anybody else that I believe in as much as I believe in you, and we're gonna make this happen for you. And they did, and they've been fantastic. I mean, none of this stuff that has occurred in the last few years would be possible without Wayne and Carol Milberger. And so we rolled into Kerrville Hills, started setting up to make some wine. The incubator had always been this little nugget in the back of my brain because I love teaching wine. I love the idea of experiential winemaking. I fell in love years ago with the incubator in Walla Walla, Washington, where the state set up a multi-shared use crush pad, multi-shared use, not multi-shared use, but in 5 individual buildings that were your barrel warehouse, your lab, and your storefront. And in the back of all that was a shared use crush pad.
Okay.
And so you came in, you started your winemaking journey. There was one, guru or professor that kind of helped guide and shape, right? And then it was staggered as you started to develop. Then after year 5, you were paying full rent and supplying a business plan to then show the world how you were going to go out into the world.
Okay.
And I was enamored with this idea. And I thought to myself, like, why the hell are we not doing this in Texas?
Yeah.
Like, why the hell are we not doing this in Texas? We have the opportunity. We have money. We have people. We have interest. Like, we have an industry. But again, it went back to, at that time, 18 years ago now, like, we didn't grow good fruit. And we didn't have a real market. And it was all these hurdles and all these negatives that we always were conquering. And it was so hard for me because I was here and all I saw was positive.
Yeah.
All I saw was positive. But all I ever heard from anybody was negative. And it's always bothered me. And those that know me know, like, I will, like, we can be on fire. We can 100% be on fire. And I'm like, but it feels good. It's warm, it's not cold. Warm, it's not cold. Like, oh yeah, well, that needed to burn down anyway. Like, I mean, Janet, I know you said you just were with Janet. Janet loves, she's like, John, I've never seen anybody be in the middle of a disaster and just be like perfectly able to just be like, no, we're going to work through this.
So positive.
We're just going to work through. You have to be. Yeah. This business is already hard enough. If you drive all of your development through negativity, in anything, right? You're going to get that negativity. So fast forward, 2019, started to roll into Kerrville Hills. We had a fantastic harvest. We made beautiful wines. We did like 500 tons in that facility. Wayne designed a really great facility for winemaking. We made some tweaks, based on some modernizations and things, but I mean, that place was built to run. And then COVID hit. And we're sitting around in February of 2020 going, well, shit.
Fun, Noah.
What the hell are we gonna do? Oh, that was the closest. There's been 2 times. I mean, lately I've had some things we've been navigating, but COVID and going like, oh crap,
We're shut down. Yeah.
we're shut down. What are we gonna do? And funny, phone again, just like 2015, phone started ringing again. And people were like, hey, this is like April, May, 2020. Hey, we're shut down and, we don't really have anything to do. We've been thinking about starting a winery, We heard you're the guy to talk to. Well, yeah, I mean, I've done some winemaking and I guess technically we can still operate the winery. And so, the incubator was born, right? So we kind of combined my consulting, which I was already doing, along with creating Kerrville Hills into the wine incubator.
Right.
And creating a brick and mortar situation where people could come and do, winemaking together, right? It's so cool when you have everybody there because you have people that are working unanimously for a goal, but also on their own goals, right? And we've built that place with the idea to teach fundamental understanding around winemaking, fundamental understanding around grape growing. We do a lot of business direction, which, the cobbler's kid wears holy shoes, right? Like I've set a lot of people up and they're doing really great things. And then we look around and going like, oh, we should probably do some of these for ourselves, But that's not our main goal. And so, you know, those things just start to snowball, right?
Right.
Like you'll have 8 folks in there making wine, right? And it's fun, the collaborative nature of people learning to make wine, right? It was all based around the idea that, like, in winemaking, everything is practice, right? It is all practice. You're only as good as the amount of times you get to do it. So for years, I would make wine in Texas. Then I would fly to California and I'd make wine in California. And so I got 2 harvests every single year in the US. And you're only as good as the times that you see things work, right? It's like a doctor, right?
Yeah.
You know, you fix 1 broken arm versus a physician who's fixed 37 broken arms. I want to go to the guy who's fixed 37.
Right.
Right.
Learn through that experience.
Learn through that experience. And so we did that with the winery. So if let's just say you go out and you invest a couple $1 million or $5 million and you are going to do 10 to 20 tons. Well, you're only going to get 10 to 20 tons of experience that may not even be guided well, right? You may have a consultant that only guides you to, you know, their baseline of like things that they know are going to just be okay because they don't want to screw up, right? And so we built, like, jokingly what we call the Amish barn raising of winemaking. So you can come in and like Mike Nelson, I think one of the contributing factors to Mike being such a good winemaker now is that instead of doing, 10 tons, then 20, then 50, he got to do 500.
Ooh.
And you got 500 tons of experience, right? And you're seeing all of that sausage made over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's just more experience that you get, right? And so that's kind of like, I think the best thing that's happened around the incubator is those people the people that have jumped in and have really leaned into the learning process. I'm quirky, I'm weird, I'm funny, but I'm a stick. When you come to make wine with me, those who know me like this, it's a vastly different thing when you're making wine for me. It's like, I think I've had folks who are like, you're like a 1975 football coach, like, yes,
It's definitely a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing.
Well, yeah, and it's not even really that. It's just like, this is just, I take my craft
Okay.
so
Seriously.
seriously, right? Like and you get one shot, right? It's like, you coached.
Yep.
If you're in the finals, right, you get one shot.
Yep.
You gotta get out
make
there.
it count.
You gotta make it count, right? There's no like, well,
No
we'll come
fooling
back
around.
next Saturday and try it again, like it's not golf. you know?
Yeah.
And so, I'm not a wealthy man, right? So we can't screw up. There's no screwing up. You got to do it right. So there's no drinking on, during, people were always amazed, like, you don't drink while we're making wine? No,
You got to be.
that's a $50,000 forklift, and that's a human that you could run over, and you got to be laser focused. This is a real deal. This is an industry. And I think that mindset of myself and several others in the wine industry, right, of continuing to grow on that. And I'm not taking away from anybody early on. I'm not adding to somebody. Because there's a lot of people that are still around because they took things very seriously, right? And so, but I think that growing up with the wine industry was really important. And so the incubator, we've had there's a lot of really cool alumni. There's a lot of cool alumni out there that is proud to be part of us. There's a lot of cool alumni out there that, they don't really let people know that we're part of what we did.
Yeah.
But that's okay, right? Because they
Did their thing.
Because they did their thing, and we got them there, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you about this location, because you originally were at a different location, and now, not long ago, you moved to this location. We're here on the Schreiner University campus in Kerrville.
Yeah.
Beautiful old home here that has been transformed to your tasting room. And this is where now you have your incubator here. So tell me a little bit about this partnership and kind of the move to this location.
Yeah. So this is what we call our tasting house.
Okay.
Right. So this is what we call our public facing side of what we do. So RVB, Rivenburgh Beverage Company, is the wine incubator. Rivenburgh Wine, Kerrville Hills Winery, and soon to be some other four name little brands that we're working on. But this is what we call our public facing side, right? So several years ago, it's hard to believe, we actually just had our 2-year anniversary in this location. Yeah. So a couple cool things. It's the Weston House. The Weston family built this home in 1904. It is all still original. The house, the only thing that's been transformed is we brought in different furniture.
Okay.
Otherwise, everything in this home is exactly the way it was. Well, in our little bar that I built that's out in our sunroom, right? Otherwise, this is exactly the way this house has been for 120 years.
Wow.
No renovation.
All original.
Yeah, all original. So that in itself is special.
Yeah, historical.
It's over a century. Humans have been sitting in this building for over a century.
Yeah.
You're sharing hospitality, sharing their life. So we had an opportunity. I had an opportunity to go to lunch with the president of the university, Dr. McCormick. A friend of mine, Toby Appleton, was a big fan of our wine, and he said, you need to meet Dr. McCormick. And I've always loved the idea that Kerrville has, at that time, wasn't quite yet a 100-year-old university, but it is now. I think it's 101 years now. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. But so, long story short, I went to lunch, and that positivity, that outlook, the ideas. I said, guys, we need to do something cool for the Hill Country. We have a full-blown university here that we could do so many cool things to help support the wine industry.
Your love for teaching is starting to come through.
My love for teaching started to come through, right? And it's like teaching, but also developmental things, right? Like I love to get things, growing and going. And I Meredith laughs, like on Mondays, it's like, how many more businesses does John want to start, right? And it usually stops about 30 seconds into the conversation. But so long story short, went to lunch. Dr. McCormick and I and his board were all there, and they loved my ideas.
Okay.
They just loved the idea of like, what could we do, right? And so we were really talking about creating what is now in its second year, the Vino dos Colinas viticulture school, right? It's a certificate program. So we have a thing called the Center for Talent and Workforce Development.
Okay.
So the university has identified the fact that there needs to be more quasi-trade driven education along with a higher education component to that, right? And so we started the viticulture program. So we teach, we're not really teaching like the science of viticulture. We're teaching like, how do you actually do it?
The how-tos.
The how-tos, right? Like, so we're teaching spraying and irrigation, design, training, how to start, you'd be amazed. I can't tell you how many very bright young men and women have come to me with great degrees from high-end universities that can't start a damn tractor. Yeah. And you know what? If you can't start a tractor, I don't care what you know about the chemicals that go in it. If you don't know how to load the sprayer or troubleshoot the sprayer or run the tractor, you can know inside and out a spray schedule all day long, but you're not doing that. You're not doing it.
You got somebody else to do it.
You're paying, so then your company has got 3 people they're paying, right? And so, so anyway, I digress. So we started down the road of setting up and building that program, and behind the scenes, right? How do we start building it? So during that timeline of building it, we had the opportunity to do what's called a winterim course. We like pitched a fun idea, like, hey, let's do this winterim course where we take some students and we give them some wines. And they build, as we were in the business school, and they build basically a tasting room from scratch, or a brand from scratch. So
marketing and all this stuff.
Everything, marketing, art, pricing, business plan, and so we gave them some wines, right? We gave them some wines. They tasted them. They wrote all the marketing. They built the brand. They did logos. I mean, the whole 9 yards. It was awesome. And so we transformed this place. At the time, was just, they used it for like lunches for the president and some things like that. It's some educational series. And we kind of came in, straightened it up, cleaned it up, made it a tasting room for a weekend.
Yeah.
And for a project, right? And and these young men and women, to their credit, like, I think we sold like 15 cases of wine, maybe 20. They came in and they decorated the place. They wrote they wrote a business plan, supplied the business plan. We opened it up for 3 nights. We had 60 to 70 people here every night.
Wow.
And during that time, Casey McCormick, the wife of Dr. McCormick, came up to me, and she's a sweet lady. Is just one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet, and a big proponent of us. She goes, "We have to make this a tasting room." She goes, "I can't thank you enough for bringing life back to this property." And I went, "Well, thanks. Yeah, well, you guys tell me."
I'm your consultant. I'll help you do that.
Yeah, it's like, I'm happy to do that with Kerrville Hills. And so long story short, we then started down that road. So we planted a little vineyard. We've since we'll have our second anniversary of having the tasting house here. And so this is our public facing side of our wine sales, right? So we don't really navigate the incubator here as much as we do our brands, Kerrville Hills Winery, Rivenburgh Wine, and then Meredith Margaret. So Meredith Reed is my general manager, my right and left hand. Nothing really happens without Meredith navigating it, to be honest. I get to just be the talking head these days. She really is the nuts and bolts, but she has a brand called Meredith Margaret. We sell that here as well. And some really nice wines that she's making. Because we encourage everybody that works with us to make their own brand. You have a facility, make your own brand. Like, it's kind of we can't really pay you as much as we'd like to.
Yeah.
But you can make your own wine.
Yeah.
Right?
Like your own wine.
Yeah. And so we sell those 3 brands here at the tasting house. I've always wanted to sell some of the incubator wines, but there's weird, I don't know, sometimes people get strange about having their brands out, but I get that too. They want to represent their stuff at their place and that kind of thing.
No confusion involved with all that.
Exactly. So, but I mean, the university just built some exterior restrooms so we can do like more outside, events in the summertime. And our viticulture class, we've got, this will be our 3rd class set. I had 7 students last year. It's one full annual cycle. So I had 7 students last year. I have 2, maybe 3 currently right now for this next session. But more importantly, which I would love to get in this podcast, is we're going to start education, like sessions, like workshops.
Okay.
So we're going to do a workshop like on demystifying spraying, right? I've been to 1,000 of these spraying workshops, and they tell you the same thing over and over and over again, but they don't ever tell you the nuance of like, if it's raining, but my schedule says I'm supposed to spray, what
do I do?
What the heck do I do? Yeah. Right? Like nobody educates you. There's very little information around that. And so we're building our workshops to mimic my mindset around the practicality understanding of what we do. So we're doing a wine 101. We're going to do like a grape to glass 101. That'll be this next one. Hopefully in May, we'll have that one out. And then we'll subsequently go from there. And the goal is to build a undergraduate program in the next 5 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah, I would hope. Again, that's my hope. Whether or not the university sees that's different. But yeah.
Sounds like they're fully on board with you and the things you're trying to do. So I could see that happening. I've talked to several wineries, wine owners and things, especially those that are great growing in the Central Texas region, that's one of the things they talk about is the lack of skilled and knowledgeable labor.
Yeah.
You can get skilled labor to come out to do pruning, but people who actually know how to prune and to know the things that they don't want somebody just coming in and butchering their vineyard. So be able to hire people who actually know what they're doing. So I think there's a huge need for that type of training and the
I agree.
skills and all the things that's going through there.
I think at the same time, there's an education for the owners and managers around reality, right? I go into a lot of places and you're like, well, it's not, this is not how you do this. And I'm like, well, then why'd you call me if you know how to do this? Oh, well, you're supposed to be the expert. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm the expert in this area. And I'm telling you that what it says in that Oregon Guide to Viticulture or that UC Davis Guide to Viticulture doesn't apply to Central Texas, right? Like it's different. Just like what applies in France doesn't apply here. In some general ways it does, but like you have to have there's got to be some give and take around understanding and acceptance of like the difference of information. And I think that's a big that's a big switch that's kind of changed in the last 5 years that people are starting to go like, oh yeah, no, we need to really just focus on what we do. Yeah.
And are those workshops and things that you're doing, those are held here at the university?
They'll be held here at the university. We have it's called the Junkin. It's a great building. So it's set up for us to have as many as, I think we could fit 60 or 70 people in there. So yeah, it's much like, I liken it to like, I love the things that Texas A&M is doing. Dr. Schreiner, Dr. Dingra, Dr. Bedoza, they're really doing great things, right? But it's very like laser specific research presentation, which is great for guys like me. Right?
Want to run nerd out on all that
go
stuff.
in and nerd out, right? But if you've never like set a sprayer calibration, it does you.
I'm still trying to attach it, trying to figure out.
Just little to no
lefty,
good.
loosey, righty, tighty, right?
Yeah. Does this quick connect? How does this work? And so I think I have seen that, and I am responding to what I see as a professional as a need for another little sliver of space. Right? If you want to go, like A&M is and tech too. Maureen's doing great work at tech, but those are very technical, specific things. Nobody's teaching
That's the deep end of the pool.
Yeah, nobody's teaching the margins or the in between. Nobody's teaching the gray. They're teaching the black and the white. Nobody's teaching the gray. And wine, if you've been making wine a long time, there's a lot of gray, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends is my standard answer to every question in the winery.
Yeah.
And the vineyard, really.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I love all this stuff with Schreiner, the connections you're making. I think there's a beautiful future for some of that. But before we get too deep into Kerrville Hills, I did also want to tap into some of your experience and knowledge. You've been the president of Texas Wine Growers for the last couple of years. So tell me a little bit about that organization and kind of what you've been doing there.
Yeah, I got to say, that's been one of the, several years ago, I had a couple of buddies call me and ask if I would be interested in being in Texas Wine Growers. And I said, yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, at the time I didn't have a brick and mortar winery, right? Yeah. And even though I was making wine for a lot of places, one of the rules is that you had to have a facility, winery, right? You had to have a winery. And so fast forward, they kept calling, and I finally got things situated. And they asked, there was a change of guards going on, and they asked if I'd be interested in stepping in on the board, just because I'd been twice the president of Hill Country Wineries for THCW. I've been on the TDA board. I've done a lot in that space.
A lot of past experience.
A lot of past experience. And so I jumped in with TWG around the strengthening of the mission around protecting and promoting Texas wine and its authenticity. And I think one of the things that I brought to the table, again, that gray, right? For years, I always heard like, well, we need to just market to these people. We just need to talk to these people. We just need to talk to these people. And I'm like, well, how come we don't talk to like the CVBs or the convention visitor bureaus around the state? Or how come we're not talking to the tourism board at the state? How come we're not talking to the restaurant association? How come we're not talking? And everybody went like, well, how are we going to do that? And I was like, I don't know. You guys help me build presentations. You guys all start calling, and I'll drive all over the state, and I will give these presentations right and left, because it's important to tell a realistic modern narrative around Texas wine. Yeah. Because 5 years ago, right, 10 years ago, there's a very different story, right? And even just a month ago, I went and gave a presentation, and people were like, you mean you guys actually make all your wine from Texas grapes? I thought you couldn't do that. And I've had to learn to get past that. I very much have had to learn. It was 7-8 years ago, it was like, let me tell you what, and now it's like, okay, let me explain, let me take a breath. Let me explain it. Let me explain where we're at, because it's not their fault. They're still working with the old antiquated narrative, right? Some of those narratives were developed by early consultants and market builders. And that's what we needed to be at that time, right? And I think we're at a time now where there is a lot more validity than there was. And just like, obviously, 20 years later, there should be more validity in what we're doing than there was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
If you're not growing, you're going, right? So, Texas Wine Growers, we set out in the last few years to have a grassroots effort and mission around changing the narrative of what Texas wine is and bringing it into a modern conversation. The modern conversation is, we're growing high quality fruit. I'm sorry that you don't know the difference between high quality fruit and not, and use that as a crutch to be able then to continue to bring things from elsewhere. Yeah. Right. We want to bring the narrative into the disparaging gap between our permit structure and those who are producing and who aren't, and having the ability to have the same rights and privileges. Right. right? I don't personally believe, I'm a free market guy. I'm a conservative, I'm a free market guy. But I believe that if you call yourself a winery, and I call myself a winery, but yet I have to grow grapes, pay for a winery, pay for a winemaking team, pay for a farming team, right?
Yeah.
And then put all that together, then pay for a marketing team. And all you have to do is make a phone call and your stuff comes in on a truck from XYZ country, right? And you can sell it for the same way that I can to all the same components. I don't feel that that's an even playing field. I just don't, right? And what I would never want for that to be hindered for those people, because that's a business model that's been around a long time, and that's great. But what I want and what Texas Wine Growers has been advocating for is some frictionless carrots, if you will, right? Some benefits to those that are producing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, if you're producing,
Yeah.
that's the goal.
That's a distinction between.
It's a distinction between the two. So that's one of the big things that we've been working on for a long time, right? It's like the bottle shops of the world. Like if you make wine, this is John Rivenburgh speaking, not the president of Texas Wine Growers. I guess it's almost impossible to be separate, but like if you're making wine, right, and you're being authentic about what you're doing, cool, great. You know, a lot of the people out there that may make a little wine from here, may make a little wine from there, they at least do it honestly.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not picking on Brian Heath, but I'm gonna point out like a respect I have for Heath family brands. Right. They make no bones about what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're honest about it.
Yeah.
So then I have zero problem with that.
Yeah.
Right. It's the people that bring in stuff from somewhere else, put a cactus and a cowboy on it, and then they can still sell it to a wine club, ship it to everybody. They can sell it to wherever. That's the stuff that I personally have a problem with.
Okay.
I have zero problem with it with other models. I want to protect producers.
Sure.
Because in most scenarios, those producers that are doing it well and doing it up front, they're still crushing a boatload of Texas fruit. And some of them are in the top 5 producers of Texas wine, right? And so, but they're producing.
Yeah.
Right? I got no problem with the people who are producing. I don't like people who aren't producing. It just bothers me.
Yeah. And
so Texas Wine Growers has been working really hard to do that. But we're also at the same time, we're just trying to break down like grassroots efforts around education.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing a lot of tastings. We've partnered with Texom to do an awful lot of wine education to the SOM and the wine professional community, right? We're doing and hosting we have an event on March 1st in Fredericksburg, which I'm really excited about. You're going to get to taste like 60 great 100% Texas wine.
I'll be there.
Awesome, man. Yeah. But we're going to have fireside chats at that thing where you're going to get to listen to some premier growers that you normally wouldn't get an access to or have the ability to sit and listen to. I don't remember everybody, but I think Reagan from Sandy Road, I think Akil Reddy, David Wallace, who's part of my grower network. We've started a big vineyard out in Sonora, Texas. He's going to be there talking about the journey to starting that. I will be sitting with our ag commissioner, Sid Miller.
Okay.
I will wear a collared shirt for that. So there's going to be some really interesting stuff there.
Yeah.
And then, but like when we started this, it was, okay, guys, we're going to change the narrative. We're going to change the narrative. Does it cost money to tell the story?
Yeah.
Right. So we built structures where we talk to what I call like the civil, right? Which is CVBs, municipalities, the state's travel tourism office, economic development office. Then we're going to talk to trade and media. So we've been doing that, and then we're gonna have another presentation set that is for consumers. And so we spent the last 3 years doing that, and I want to believe that we have done a really great job changing the mental narrative around where Texas wine is. Right. I would be remiss if I didn't say that I think some of the new revived drive around Texas wine and other organizations, I'd like to think it's somewhat because we've worked to build that narrative, and that they are also then seeing that narrative and being energized to continue to speak that narrative out in the world. So it's been very I've been happily excited to see all of the new kind of scenarios. I think that has come from what we've done. And then lastly, we worked real hard to pass the farm winery permit.
Yeah.
Real hard. I don't even want to think about the amount of hours I put into knocking on doors and shaking hands and
Politics of it
the
all.
politics of it all, man. And, I hate sport coats. I wore in 2025 or 2024. I wore more sport coats than I had in the last 15 years of my life, right? And I hate it, but I did it for Texas. I did it for you guys, Texas. I did it for y'all. But we cleared the house. 12-0 at committee. Like we rang the bell in the committee. We 132 or 136 to 9. We passed that bill through the House side, and then we got kind of stood up in the Senate side, right? I think there were some other outlying fights going on in the legislature that we got.
Kind of takes second seat.
So it's kind of took second seat to some other things, but we're very proud about that, right? And so one of the things I'd like to touch on with that is now getting past that and conversations I've had with some of my other colleagues, right? And I hate this. I hate this like my side, their side. I think it's bullshit. Like I really do, right? There are people on every side of this thing that I have mad respect for.
Sure.
There's some that I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe one or two.
It's okay.
And some are on my side, some are on the other side. But I think that we're at a place now where if Texas wine is going to be what it should be, we as an organization, we as an industry need to start to find common ground. And that means everybody needs to come to the table with some common ground, not just it's going to be this way because this is the way we've always done it. And you guys either get in line or not, right? Because then we'll just continuously have opposition. But I fully believe that where the trade organizations are going now, we have for the first time in a very long time, we have an opportunity to build a real strong, unified voice around Texas wine, right? And so that is one of my hopes as the outgoing president and a continued board member, but as an industry leader. It's hard for me to call myself an industry leader, but people keep calling me that, so I guess I am. But I truly believe we're at a place where if we get our stuff together, right, as an industry, we really can make some like. California's fallen off into the ocean. This is not going to be popular. There's tariffs that are finally equilibrating like wine sales in the United States. Like I don't really love all the other tariffs, but like as it relates to wines that are coming in from other foreign countries that are subsidized to the tune of 80% of their production, right? That is why, guys, that's why they could sell French wines for $9 at H-E-B.
Yeah.
Because they're subsidized, right? We're not subsidized. That's why we can't sell wines at $9, right? So, but now that there is a tariff in place that makes that, equilibrium jump up a little bit, we become, along with this narrative around the quality of Texas wine, which we should all be talking about how high quality Texas wine is, because the wine that's being produced in this state is of exceptional quality. James Tidwell, Master Somm, he's brought us into Texas because we're doing great things, right? And nobody's embarrassed to talk about our wines, right? So we, as an industry, need to be doing that, and that's it, as Texas wine growers, that is the mission, right? That is the goal. We're gonna protect and promote, but we also see the ability and need for right now is the time for Texas wine to take a spotlight and take a spotlight from other places and stop apologizing or like living on the woes and start to really celebrate the wins. I've been saying that every board meeting, they have to listen to me get on my stump speech, man, and talk about, guys, we need to talk about our wins. We don't need to talk about our woes.
Celebrate.
We need to talk about our wins, not talk about our woes. Hey, guess what? It hails and freezes in Burgundy for the last 300 years, just like it does here. Do you hear them going, well, sometimes we get it right because the hail, No, they're like, oh, this vintage is perfect, And so we need to be more like that.
Love it.
Yeah.
Let's focus in on the reason we're here at Kerrville Hills. So tell me a little bit about the wines and things here. So where do you source your fruit You said you have a little bit of a vineyard here, but where do you typically source your fruit for the wines for
So
Kerrville?
we source fruit all over. I mean, there's not a vineyard in the state, really. I shouldn't say that. There's so many vineyards now that I actually don't have part, but we, Pepper Jack is a big part of what we do. Brett Gorman and Jack Smith, they have some really nice fruit. I'm a big fan of Terral to Go. I got to work with Terral. I got to make the first Terral to Go in the state, thanks to Nikki Nara, who introduced me to the variety, and made it out at Nara Vineyard for them the first time. Love that. And so over the years, we've tried to like laser down where our fruit is coming from.
Okay.
Right. It's no surprise. We had navigated a vineyard out west of town and Hunt and lost it in the flood. So that was a big kick in the teeth. We won't go down that road. But so we're making some beautiful wines from what we consider some really great vineyards. So the Phillipses, you don't have enough time for me to rattle down the whole list of folks. Canton County, we've got fruit out of there. Rustic Spur is what I consider my estate vineyard, right? So my Tannat, my Chasseau, I've been making those. That's the oldest Tannat vineyard in the hill country now at this point. I think. And now that West Cave, I don't know if West Cave still has their little half acre or whatever Tannat, but Rustic Spur, we've got some wines from Wild Seed this last year that were really, really pretty hill country fruit. The Phillipses. So we make a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think the vineyard list from all the incubator, and then our incubator folks, they have their own connections, right? So we pride ourselves in getting people to build their own connections.
Their
right?
relationships.
Their relationships. Because if we're not teaching them, the goal is to teach them, right?
Yeah.
And for them to go
Not
away.
just to shovel things to them.
Yeah. I mean, we're not trying to build, wine addicts, right? We're trying to build people to go out and build their own business and then hopefully teach other people, right?
Yes.
So, I think it was like 52 different vineyards we got fruit from in the last 2 years. It was some small ones, some big ones. I know I'm going to leave somebody out.
Yeah, so to minimize them for sure.
But yeah, I mean, there's not many vineyards I haven't made wine out of.
Okay.
Except for some people's like personal vineyards and things like that. But yeah, we're making, we're focused on my highlights, right? People Blanc and Tannat were the two of my first wines I made.
Okay.
Right. I mean, everybody knows Bending Branch, right? And that it's not an accident that I continued to do those things, right? So everywhere I went, we planted People Blanc and we planted Tannat.
Yeah.
Because I think they are fantastic. So we've got, mostly my style of winemaking is low intervention.
Okay.
I don't like manipulating wines. I feel like there's too much manipulation into wine to try and make it taste like it's from somewhere else, but then it makes it taste like shit, to be honest. Like it's like you're oversalting the spaghetti because you want it to taste like a Sicilian marinara. Well, now it just tastes like junk, right? And I think in winemaking,
And you lose that sense of place.
you lose a sense of place, right? Like it's real easy to make a homogenous, non-terroir driven wine.
Yeah.
Super easy.
Yeah.
Really, really easy.
But I can go to HEB for that.
You can go to HEB for that. What's not easy is to create something that is an expression of vintage, that is an expression of place. And with heavy intervention, you start to lose those things. And this is my own, this is my own thing, right? So we pride ourselves on being good stewards of great grapes being grown, right? That being said, I've had wines hit my crush pad that other places turned down because they were horrible quality.
Yeah.
That I've won double gold wines with, So I think a lot of times it just comes into that understanding, that experience.
Okay.
But yeah, low intervention. All of our reds are unfiltered, unfined. I'm not a big fan of manipulation at all. We use time and temperature, our rosés, people always go like, wow, your wines are so old world, or they don't taste like anybody else's wines. And I go, yeah, I know, like that's by design. It's just because I'm not monking our wines, to me that way. And if I would be silly if I didn't say, if you look at the lineage of people who have worked with me that are winning awards and their wines that they have learned the basis of my winemaking style, right? Which I learned from Greg Stokes, my lineage, which I learned from Greg Stokes, right? So this is all taught down, right? Like I feel like Greg instilled with me like some really great winemaking understanding that I then took and I put that into Texas and understanding my region, right? And then my education to other folks and watch them take that winemaking into their own style, right? And it's like every chef has a new style, right? So every winemaker has their own style. Make it your own, but in those basic principles of what makes sense for our terroir. And so that's our whole goal. And I mean, for me, I love when our wines win awards. I mean, we got a few. I mean, we just, I'm not a big competition guy, but we do some. But I love to see people that I taught the baseline. That my biggest award is when I see people win. Right. What is it? The Vintner's Cup.
Yeah.
Right. I think me and Kim McPherson are the only guys who've had every Vintner's Cup.
Yeah.
There's been at least one wine we've had something to do with, if not multiple. That's a pretty cool flex. Like our Simeon from the Hill Country won on the very first one. And just ever since then, there's always either like in the honorable mention or the wines picked and awarded. See, I'm very proud of that because it's somebody I've either mentored or have come through the incubator or we help make their wine. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So we're here, we're the most famous winery nobody's ever heard of. Yeah. So thank you for coming and talking to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about the processing. You do the processing here?
No.
Or do you do that back at?
No, there's no winemaking that happens here. This is all just front of house tasting room. So this is my tip of the hat to Texas hospitality.
Okay.
I'm a huge proponent of excellent hospitality. I personally think the Texas wine industry is where it is because we're great hosts.
Yeah.
We're great hosts. My grandmother, my mother, my mom, my mom, my grandmother. It was ingrained in me to be a great host, right, and be hospitable. As cantankerous as I can be in one form, I am amazingly gracious and welcoming in other forms, right? And like our team here is so driven around hospitality that people come here. And my number one goal is I want you to feel like you're sitting at my kitchen table.
Okay.
Not in the tasting room that's stuffy, not at some like where you think you have a test or I want you to come here and feel like you're sitting in my home. Yeah. Right. And so that's why we focus this in that way. So yeah, the goal is we're Friday through Sunday.
Okay.
We are 1 to 7.
Yeah.
1 to 6 on Sunday.
Okay.
And yeah, you can come here. We have a beautiful wraparound porch. Like today, I hope you'll stick around for a second. There's baseball, so the baseball field.
So there's a softball game on, I think.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it was softball or baseball today. But what's really cool is you can sit right here, and the play-by-play echoes up on your plate. It's cool. Literally like
drink some wine and
it's
enjoy
literally
some
a
spring
slice
baseball.
of Americana, dude.
Love
You
that.
sit out here, you listen to some baseball or some softball. You can hear the play-by-play. It's just quiet enough to where you can hear it, but it's also loud enough, to where it's fun. And you sit out here and just overlook the campus. And this goal of this place is to give super high quality wines with super high quality hospitality. It's not about the mass numbers for us.
So you mentioned a few different wines. What are some of the varietals that a customer can expect when they come into this tasting room?
So in this tasting room, obviously, Tannat, Pic Blanc, Terral de Go, Chasseau, Cinsault, Muscat. Meredith made almost like a Sauterne style Muscat.
Ooh.
It's got 90 points from Cristaldi. Yeah, I was amazed. A sweet wine got 90 points.
Yeah.
Because it's a killer wine.
I love Sauternes.
It's made by design. You should. It's beautiful. I know Sauterne is French, but Muscat is Italian. I get it. But we're in Texas, so it's the only way I can explain it. We have a Grenache that's beautiful right now. We have a couple of blends. We have a Spanish blend that we call Beso Rojo, which is Carignan, Grenache, and Carignan, and a little. Oh my gosh, I'm on camera forgetting what the variety. Anyway, make a lot of wine, so you forget. It's basically like a pure blend.
Okay.
And then Yeah, we'll rotate in and out of Vermentino. But yeah, it's always kind of evolving and rotating.
Okay.
But yeah, those are the primary things. You always come to our tasting room and there'll always be a peak pull. There'll always be a Tannat.
Those are the standards.
To go. Yeah, it's kind of our standard fare. I'm also like, for our brand, I'm not a huge proponent of making massive amounts of different varieties.
Right.
Yeah, there's no reason for it for us. Yeah.
Just a handful. Well, when they come in for a tasting at the tasting room here, what can they expect? Is it how much do the tastings cost, and how many wines do they get to taste? And do they get to pick their own, or is it set?
So right now, it's set.
Okay.
Right. I'm a firm believer. It goes back to that rigidity. I like a guided tasting. We have it's a $20 tasting.
Okay.
You do 5 wines. We also have a sweet tasting. So for those that want to come in and do a sweet wine tasting, I love that because these are all sweet wines made with purpose. We end with the sangria, which Meredith's is kind of Meredith's like secret recipe sangria, and it's pretty darn good.
I had a sip of it earlier. It is primo.
It is pretty good. Yeah, my secret flex, a little Topo Chico in it.
Oh yeah,
it's my summertime treat.
There you
for
go.
me. But so that's kind of our only like off menu option is a sweet. We have a sweet tasting, and I believe that's $15 for 4 wines. And then of course anything's available by bottle or glass anytime you come in. We waive that tasting fee with a 2-bottle purchase.
Okay.
It's pretty standard. It's literally been my whole career. I've never really. Everybody's like, well, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? And I was like, man, there's too many things to try. This works for us. So we're gonna just
You kind of nailed it out. So
yeah. But our goal is again hospitality.
Yeah.
Right. So if you come in and you want to taste 5 different things, we'll figure out a way to make it. Okay. We'll try to figure out a way to make it happen. Right. If we got to open up 5 sets of blocks.
fits the confines. We're okay.
Yeah. We're gonna do our best, or we'll do our best to guide you into something that through great pleasant conversation, we'll guide you into something that, you may have never had before.
Right.
Yeah. Which a lot of times is what people come in here, they've never heard of half the things we do, which has been my whole career, which is really, I always love, this is the one I love, Scott, is when people come in and they're like, oh yeah, Tannat is awesome. Have you ever had Mike Nelson's Tannat at Ab Astor's?
A couple of times.
No, actually I haven't. As a matter of fact, I never have. Who's Tannat? Who is that guy? And Mike can always get a good chuckle out of that one. Yeah. I actually one time they called him Mark Nielsen. Oh. And the guy was insistent that Mark Nielsen was the winemaker, and I didn't know what I was talking about. Yeah. So I was texting Mike. This guy thinks you're new.
Right. If he only knew.
Yep.
Are you family friendly, pet friendly, things like that? Here
Absolutely. 100% family friendly. We often on a Sunday afternoon, we have some families that come in pretty regularly. We have this big lawn outside, and they've got preteen age boys. And I'll look out and they'll be moving the picnic tables, and there'll be a pickup football game happening in our front lawn, which I love. Like that's why I do this, right? And so
that's the hospitality you talked about.
That's the hospitality. This place is for everybody. I want families to have a place. We live in a community where there's not a lot of places for families to go, right? We just do. And I want families to feel comfortable. Come up here. Let the kids run around. If somebody comes here and they don't like it, well, they can either learn to like it, or they can go to one of the other establishments where they don't let kids in. Yeah. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
I got you.
And as far as pets, I don't mind pets outside. Our patio, as you can see, our patio is huge. So on the patio or out on the lawn is great. 100-year-old floor, I really don't want people's pets roaming around on. That's really the reason why inside we don't like pets.
Historical building like
it's
this.
A historical building, and we just don't feel like that's the best thing to have inside. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, if you want to bring your whatever pets, we had a lady up here with a cat on a leash the other day, which it's whatever. But yeah, we are. I want new drinkers, old drinkers. I love people that have never had Texas wines. Again, you're visiting our family's house. So, yeah.
What about food type of options? Do you offer anything like that, or can people bring their own food?
So you can, we love to have people bring their own food. Okay. Our lawn is gorgeous. Come and do a picnic. We've got we can help you with some setups if you need plates and things like that. We encourage folks to bring their own picnic. We can also, with some advance notice, we have access to the culinary team at Schreiner University. So with some advance notice, we can actually set up a full, if you want to we do some corporate events, we do some things like that. We've done a couple of baby showers. We have a election night viewing party that's going to be starting here. So yeah, we can do full scale food. We do our supper club here. First Friday of every month, we have a supper club, and our supper club is a little bit about the culinary arts, a lot about community.
Yeah.
So I ask people not to bring their cell phones, or at least leave them in their pocket. We cap it at 24 people.
Yeah.
It's apparently like the hardest ticket to get in Kerrville, Texas at this point, and maybe even in Texas. I don't know, but we set it up on the patio outside. It's a long table dinner, and it's all about community and conversation. Right. So I feel like that's not to get on my soapbox, but I feel like that's a broken part of our world where people just put your phone down.
100%.
I don't care what it looks like. Phone doesn't eat first at our supper clubs.
Exactly.
And you eat first. Conversation eats first. So we do that. In the not too distant future, we will probably have some food type option here where we're looking at it, but we're wine focused. I mean, that's our focus. And I want people to like what they like and want what they want, so if you want to come and pull up a table and make a charcuterie outside, get after it. Yeah. Yep.
What about group sizes? Do you have any maximum group sizes or anything? Or do needed people make reservations?
No, we would prefer if you have a group over 8 to make a reservation, but we're pretty easy. We can pretty much accommodate. We have enough room and space to accommodate. We host pretty regularly groups, like we do all the Texas X's events here. There's a realty group that comes and does their monthly meetings. So they take this front room and we kind of close it off for them, and they'll have 15 or 20 people in here. So group sizes, no, we're all welcoming. Now, if it goes back to hospitality. You wouldn't show up at your friend's house with 15 of your friends expecting dinner without calling.
Right.
Let's just be, we gotta at least have some couth around it, right? But yeah, no, we're pretty agile. We can handle most anything. Yeah.
What about your wine club? Do you have a wine club?
We do have a wine club, and we're kind of in the process of retooling some of that. We've got some great ladies that are working on that currently. Christina Davis and Meredith Reed are working on, and Dana Nathanson are working on shaping what it is. It's pretty basic. There's a 3 and a 6 and a 12. We've got a red and a white and a mixed.
Okay.
Again, I'm a big fan of keeping it simple, right? Our wine club is more driven around the hospitality of being in the club. All right. So our perks are, you can come here and we're going to take really good care of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can sign up for that online or here in the
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Obviously, I'm a horrible salesperson. You can go to KerrvilleHillsWinery.com and you can sign up for the wine club there. And you can also search Rivenburgh Wine. That will take you to the same place, and you can find it there as well.
Yeah, that's your label. We did an episode about that, so viewers, you can go back and watch that episode as well about your own personal label there. What about distribution? Do you do any kind of distribution of your wines here, or how can people taste them? Do you sell on your website if they can't get here?
We sell on our website. We ship throughout the entirety of the state.
Okay.
We can ship to certain states outside of Texas. I've been known to, if there's enough order, I'll jump in a truck and deliver it. I've delivered wines to San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, and all the little towns in between, right?
Like the milkman here.
Like the milkman. You go to our website, you order, we will travel, right? It goes back to that hospitality thing again. And then beyond that, we're working on some distro products currently. We're working diligently to put some wines together that can go into the marketplace. I'm a firm believer that Texas wines have done themselves a disservice by making everything $65 a bottle retail. And it's time for us to meet distribution and wholesale in the middle.
Okay.
Right. And if I'm going to say that out loud all the time, I should work on doing that very same thing. So we've worked on creating some wines that are BTG, so by the glass offerings for certain places. And we've got a couple of small restaurant placements. We're working on a couple of bigger projects. But, fingers crossed, nothing's there. But you may see more of our wines in the distant future around the state.
Coming down the road.
Yeah. It wasn't my model for a lot of years, but I understand. We all need to sell wine now, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you'll start seeing some more of them.
Okay. All right. So we kind of hinted at a couple of things. We have tapped on this a little bit, but I'm curious, do you have any plans for future growth for Kerrville Hills Winery? What are the things you'd like, your dreams or things you'd like to see happen here?
I would be lying if I didn't say there were always like wheels turning around growth and expansion. We have an awful lot going on between the incubator, between the farming that we do. I still do. We're stretched thin. We're not really stretched. We're not stretched too thin,
right?
But we're at our place where I think that equal it needs to catch back up.
Yeah.
Right. Like we've stretched. And it's like a kid that gets kind of shoved, and we're gonna grow, and then we're at that place where we're doing a lot of really great things. We're making a lot of really good happen, right? Rolling off of being the president and just going to be a not just a board member, but a board member at Texas Wine Growers is going to allow me to kind of free up on some free. Honestly, my team is terrified that I'm a couple of the 1,000 new ideas that we have to do. The goals around having a little bit more distribution. I think if that's a place that I think we could see some growth in what we're doing, right? Organically, inorganically, with the inorganic side being us pushing on it a little bit more. But the growth around being, and this is very centric to my community, I want to be Kerrville's winery.
Okay.
Like I want to be Kerr County's winery. We have 60,000 people that live here, and I have every single weekend there's new people that come in here and go, we never knew that we had a winery here. We've lived here 30 years. We never, oh yeah, well, we've only been around 20. Yeah. And so our goal is to, I want our epicenter to start here and work.
Focus local, right.
Focus local. And local is the whole country, right? Sure. I mean, San Antonio.
Concentric circles as they move out.
Exactly, yeah. So that would be our biggest kind of goal right now for this place, is to just have a little bit more awareness around what we do. And also, hopefully, coupling that with bringing a higher awareness around authentic Texas wines.
Yeah. So to keep it in a winery perspective, all of your wine tanks are full right now, and you don't got a lot of room for another load of fruit to come in the door. So
there's always a way to figure it out there.
We'll figure out a way.
There's always a way to figure it out. Yeah. I would love to convey my thoughts and sentiments around the growth and collaborative efforts moving forward with Texas wine.
Yeah.
Like, I really, truly think it's important. I really, truly respect all of my colleagues that have gotten us all here where we are, right? And I feel like if I could talk to your cameras, like from one leader to another, I would love for us to get to a place where we're working together to grow Texas wine in a beneficial nature for all of us that are making wine. That's it, man.
So there are a lot of great places you can go to drink wine in Texas, as you know, and you advocate for. What really sets Kerrville Hills apart for my viewers to be able to say, oh, I really got to get there and check it out?
So this is probably going to be the most arrogant answer I've had in this interview. And I've been working with a marketing team that's been coaching me to be more, and a lot of people are going to laugh when they hear this, self-promoting.
Okay.
Right? And there's a lot of people that would argue that I am very self-promoting, right? But they don't differentiate self-promotion from promotion of what I do that I love so much for, because I do it for people like you. I do it for everybody, right? Yeah. And I would say what sets us apart, if you love Texas wine, this is quite literally the foundation of most of the wines you're drinking.
Okay.
Right? Whether it was driven from inspiration from Dr. Becker or nights spent with Paul Bonarigo, those things have all inspired me, along with all the people that I've inspired.
Yeah.
Right. And so you come here, you're getting quite literally to drink through a storybook of what Texas wine is, and that's, but if you like it, it's likely rooted back this way somehow
through that lineage.
Yeah, through that lineage. I mean, I know that sounds maybe egotistical, but I've done a lot, and if you come here, you're going to get to experience that. I mean, people come here and they go, oh my gosh, we have a whole series of pictures of me with other people, and they're like, what? Oh my gosh, And so I think that's it. I think our biggest flex in the world is that we've done so much in the world of wines that we don't have to be pretentious. We've done a lot. And just being okay with saying we've done a lot, it's not bragging, because I've done it.
Yeah.
Right? It'd be different if I had never done anything and I'd be like, I'm the best.
Yeah.
But I have.
I have the experience.
I have the experience to back it up. I'm not saying I'm the best, because I think some of the people that I taught making wine are making some really killer wines, right? That are maybe better than some of mine, right? And so, yeah, I think that's what, if you come to Kerrville Hills, one, you're going to get to experience what I would completely just say the epicenter of Texas wines in a lot of ways, right? And then you're also going to get to experience a community that is delightful. So it's bigger than just my operation. You come and visit Kerrville, this is a really cool town. There's a lot to do here. There's a lot of great restaurants. We're kind of like if Fredericksburg is Napa, we're Healdsburg or Calistoga.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a little bit more quiet, a little bit more refined. We may not have as much
good quality.
It's just good quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
It's really powerful to hear John explain that while the heavy lifting of the production may be done elsewhere, this particular location is dedicated just to hospitality, offering a relaxed, unpretentious space where the focus is purely on the delight of the community and the taste of that great Texas wine experience. Now, make sure you check out their website before you go. It's www.kerrvillehillswinery.com. On their website, you'll find more information about this incredible tasting room there at the Weston House in Kerrville, so you can find out more information about what to expect when you go. You'll find out about their production facilities that they have there, as well as an online shop where you can go buy those 100% Texas wines. The site also offers a more detailed look into John's incredible storied background, as well as that Kerrville Hills Wine Incubator program, which offers production, vineyard management, and even branding services to up-and-coming boutique winemakers. And don't forget, when you go to see them, make sure you tell them you heard about them on this podcast, Texas Under Vine. All right, that was an incredible look into the collaborative heart of the Texas wine world. And I really enjoyed getting to hear from John all about the incubator program, all about Kerrville Hills and the things they've been doing there and his incredible effect on the Texas wine industry. And after it was all done, I went in and got to do my tasting there into the tasting room. And it came down to the time to choose that wine library bottle that I wanted for my wine library collection. And when it all came down to it, I chose the 2021 Terral de Go. This is one that John mentioned in the interview, and it's very close to his heart because he was one of the first people to really start working with this varietal here in Texas, and it really shows a lot of John's passion inside this bottle. It is a fantastic representation of the low intervention style that he mentioned in the interview. It's bold, it's authentic, and truly Texan. You really need to taste this when you go to the tasting there at Kerrville Hills Winery, but you also need to buy a bottle and take it home with you when you go. All right, it's about that time in the episode for me to head on down the road to the next Texas wine destination for you. But before I do so, I wanted to inform you about my Patreon. So this particular podcast is all done out of my pocket as a teacher, and it is supported by my Patreon subscribers. If you're enjoying the content that I'm providing to you and you'd like to help support this endeavor, if you would be willing to become a Patreon member, you get access to some behind the scenes content and some extras that other people don't get who just watch this on YouTube. And you can know you're helping to support more of the Texas wine industry and getting this message out to many more people who need to fall in love with our Texas wines. Over the last few weeks, I made some great changes to the Patreon setup. There's a lot more benefits added, including discounts to the merchandise store, some blooper reels, early access to the podcast, things like that don't go to the regular listeners of the show. So if you're willing to support me, if you go down to my website at www.texasundervine.com, go up to the top, there's a button called Become a Patron. When you go there, you can go to the Patreon website. You'll see the different levels you can subscribe to. It's just a few dollars a month to help support me, and you'll find those extras when you subscribe. And thank you to my current Patreon subscribers. You really do help make this show work. All right, for those watching this video on YouTube, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe down below, and go down and leave a comment. So John is a big believer in 100% Texas-grown fruit. So does that affect you as a wine drinker when you're going to the store or you're going to a winery? Is that important to you? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Let me know. And one last time, a huge shout out and thank you to all of my Patreon subscribers for helping keep this journey through the Texas vines going forward. And with that, my time is up. So don't forget, subscribe to the podcast and follow my socials to be notified anytime a new episode is released. And until then, Happy trails and bottoms up, y'all.
Thanks for listening to Texas Under Vine. We strive to provide you with the best information about wine businesses all over Texas. Be sure to check out our website at texasundervine.com and follow us on our socials at Texas Under Vine to stay up on all the upcoming episodes. Please email us with any suggestions or feedback. Also, contact us if you're interested in donating, sponsoring, or advertising on the podcast, just to help us cover our expenses and bring even more great info to you in future episodes. Above all, travel safely, and most especially, drink responsibly.
Howdy, Vine Trippers. Before we go, I wanted to direct you to my website, www.texasundervine, because there you're going to find a whole host of things. Besides access to the audio versions and the video versions of the podcast, you can also get those on any podcast provider, and then the video on YouTube. But there you're going to find a couple of things. Did you know that I actually sold some Texas Under Vine merchandise? I only have a handful of items available, about 5 different things, but they are up on my store. So if you go to the website, texasundervine.com, and go to the top, you're going to see a link for the merchandise store, and there you can get your own Texas Under Vine swag to proudly show all of your friends that you support the Texas wine industry, and you can get them started on and hooked on the podcast as well, so they can go visit even more of these great wine destinations. But in addition to the store, I also have a Patreon for my subscribers, people that support this show. I do this all out of a work of love from my heart. I do not make any money on this podcast. I'm actually in the red because I support it all out of my own pocket as a teacher. And it's mainly because I love wine and I love the Texas wine industry. So if you're willing to help me do that and you'd like to see more of these great episodes, hear more from these amazing winemakers, learn more about some fun destinations for you to go and visit on your own, I would appreciate if you would be willing to subscribe to my Patreon. So at the top of my website page, again, you'll find a Become a Patron link. And there you can get all the information about becoming a subscriber to the podcast here as a Patreon subscriber. It only costs a few dollars a month if you're willing to commit that. And there are various levels that you can commit to that each give you behind the scenes benefits that you don't get. And I do have some new things in the pipeline coming down soon. So you want to get on that sooner than later. But right now you can get things like behind the scenes photos at different wineries. You can get things like at one level, you'll get a video walkthrough of the winery. So for every episode, I will post a video walkthrough of me taking you through the winery itself so you can see what it's like before you go. And then at one level, you can even find out before everyone else where I'm headed the next week on the show as it comes out. So you'll know before everyone else. You get a sneak peek. So there's just different levels of benefits, and they all cost a different amount. And as you subscribe, you become the heart of this podcast. You really are what helps me succeed. You are my community and my people. And thank you so much for those that do subscribe. So if you're interested in joining Patreon, check the Become a Patron link at the top of the website. So again, the website is www.texasundervine.com. You can also go to all of my socials. I'm at Texas Under Vine on almost all the social accounts. And check it out and consider sponsoring the podcast and maybe even buying some of that really cool swag on the merchandise store. Happy trails and bottoms up, Vine Trippers.